Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen of the Cedarfield family. This is Michael Shaw. Thank you for tuning in to our April 21st live streaming here at 3 o'clock. I hope either this live streaming or this video finds you well this evening. Today's format for this live stream is threefold. One, I'm going to talk a little bit about communication with COVID-19. We talked a little bit about it yesterday, and I got together with our team at the Pinnacle Living office, and we think we came up with a very firm but fair policy about how we'll communicate moving forward. So I want to talk a little bit about that, in addition to talking about this power outage that happened this morning and still ongoing. After those remarks, we have Dr. Shear and Ann Hopper here. Oh, there's the light. How about that? We have Dr. Shear and Ann Hopper here to talk about navigating COVID-19, and then a few other administrative updates, and we'll follow that up with some spiritual help from either Trish Carter or Annie Van Hook. So, before I go any further, since I had a little blip in the power here, I just want to make sure that we are live. Can you go outside and make sure that we're live here?
Yep.
Because usually Amanda, are we live? We are? Okay. Oh, good. We are still live. Perfect. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that power outage. And I'm going to show you, those of you that are in your apartments and cottages, I'm equipped here with some pictures. So I'm going to zoom, Eddie had to step outside here. I'm going to, wait 1 second, I'm going to zoom in on these pictures. So this first picture is actually the transformer that is the old transformer that we're taking away from the property. It's the transformer that failed on us this morning. This transformer is located right directly to the right-hand side of the administrative door off to that administrative parking lot. So you can see that they are loading that transformer onto the trailer. Next picture happens to be that transformer just sitting in the parking lot. It's a very large transformer. Here is a picture of that transformer coming down Cedarfield Parkway. So you can see the size of this new transformer. It actually is almost double the capacity. So that's a picture as of just about 10:15 of that transformer coming down the parkway. Here's a picture of that transformer being loaded off of the trailer. A couple other pictures just to give you the size of this project. They needed a crane. We had to remove all of the cars associated with that parking lot this morning to enable all of this traffic and this crane to get in there. That crane that you see in that picture is located directly outside of the administration door. And here's all of the Dominion Energy folks that were involved. There were 17 people out there at one point to help with this installation project. So they gave us an estimated time of about 4 o'clock, 4:30, and it looks like power is on here in the fellowship hall. Power might actually be on throughout the campus as we speak. So next segment I just want to talk a little bit about is communication around COVID-19. Yesterday I was talking about some of my thoughts over the weekend, and yesterday, like I said earlier, we got together with the Pinnacle Living office, and we think we came up with a nice, firm, fair way of disclosing information that balances transparency with privacy and confidentiality. I have always been honest with the residents and the team members. I just remember from my childhood, a phrase often said in the Shaw household, honesty is the best policy, but we have to balance transparency with privacy and confidentiality. I have great unease reporting to you a long dashboard associated with COVID-19, not because I'm covering anything up, but rather lifting up our privacy and confidentiality values. Pending tests, test results, who passed away, why they passed away, when did they pass away. Most of that information is personal. They're all private matters, they're family matters, and not general public matters, even in a time of a pandemic. So, what do I intend, or Cedarfield management intends to continue to communicate to keep people informed about what we're doing to keep you, the residents, and the team members safe and healthy? So I want to talk about six things that I'm going to commit to providing timely and accurate information to ensure the health and well-being of the residents and team members, and that we're all on the same page. So these are six things that I am absolutely committed to. First, over the last several weeks, I have been constantly communicating our evolving preparedness plan. And I will continue to do that. Every day we have a leadership huddle meeting and we're talking about that evolving preparedness plan. I will continue to update you about those plans, which includes lessons learned from other communities, from the Department of Health, so that you have an assurance that our plan is current, it's on the spot with lessons learned from other communities in concert with our Pinnacle Living Office. So that's the first thing, is our preparedness plan. The second thing I'm going to commit is disclosing of information to residents and families and team members about sharing the number of residents and team members who have been tested, and update that number with the confirmed COVID-19 test results. And I'll do that regularly. What we're not going to disclose is we're not going to disclose the person's name, their sex, their health status. We're not going to connect personal information, because that's what everybody wants to know. Who is it? Where they live? We're not going to connect all of that together. The third thing I'm going to commit to you is that I will continue, as we've been doing for the last 2 months, to work with the local health district here in Henrico, and we will continue to test newly symptomatic residents and institute immediate quarantine procedures as directed by the Virginia Department of Health once we have confirmed cases. That's an obvious thing. The fourth thing is team members who test positive will not be permitted to return to work until they have a release form from their doctor, from their physician. That's the fourth thing. The fifth thing is once we have a confirmed case, we will communicate that positive result to the residents, families, and team members. So every time we have a case, we will update a memo and get it out to the residents. And then the sixth thing I'm going to commit to is, in the unfortunate event that a person with a positive COVID-19 diagnosis passes away, we are going to use existing processes already in place to share the news of someone passing, as we have been doing as a tradition of Cedarfield for the last 24 years. Out of respect for the residents and their families and loved ones, we will not be sharing any information related to the death of a resident related to COVID-19. We're not going to be making those general announcements, primarily because we don't really know how the person passes away, and we're going to protect that information for those loved ones and that family member. Now is not the time to throw away privacy and confidentiality just for the convenience of sharing all kinds of statistics. So, when we lose somebody here at Cedarfield, we don't take it lightly, and we honor them. We respect their wishes, we respect the family's wishes, and we celebrate that life accordingly to our traditions. We're going to be 100% focused on doing everything that we can to maintain a safe environment and also provide you with services and policies that keep you safe based on the best and most up-to-date information that we have, working in concert with many folks at the Department of Health. I can tell you, over the last 6 days, I've talked to at least 2 representatives from the Department of Health each day. So we are working very closely with those representatives. And then along with our Pinnacle Living office, working in concert to make sure that we have the appropriate services and precautionary policies in place to protect everyone here at Cedarfield. If you have any questions about these 6 items, please feel free to contact me over the next day or so. I probably will put this in a memo form so that residents can read it at your leisure over the next day or so. Okay, so next up we have Navigating COVID-19 with Dr. Amy Shear and Ann Hopper from our Wellness Clinic. I'm going to clean this off first time.
Hello. Hey, Dr. Shear. Welcome. All right, we just have a couple of little housekeeping first. Okay. So I have been requested about going over this mask. If you wouldn't mind going through the steps, and I'll be putting them on, it on, since I can't do both.
So you'll notice there's a colored side and a non-colored side. Mine's blue and is yellow. You want to make sure that there's a metal piece in the top. And these are not the sewn masks, these are the surgical masks. But there's a metal piece at the top, and at the bottom there's not one, so it's a little bit more flimsy. So you want the metal piece at the top, that's what you're going to pinch over your nose. And you put the ear loops around your ears. And you want to pull it down over your chin. Yep. So colored side out, over your chin, and then you pinch down the nose.
Perfect.
And then the key is you are more protected the less easily you can breathe. So if there's not any exchange of air, or if you're noticing that it's a little difficult, or the mask sucks in when you breathe in and puffs out, that's a good indication that you have it on correctly. If it's, we see a lot of people that pull them down under their nose, like that, that's not efficient at all.
Or like this.
Or if they have them upside down, with the metal part under their chin. Again, as you can tell, Ann, can you breathe a whole lot more easily?
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
It's great. There's a lot of air here, right?
A lot of air, but much less protection. So the proper way to wear it is with the metal part, pinched around your nose to kind of create as much of a seal as possible. And with the non-metal part where under your chin, so wrap around your chin.
Right.
And then 2 sides on the ears, just like that. So,
Perfect.
again.
And then the other thing that I heard was if you wear glasses, that's one more piece going over that
Right.
mask.
You would then put glasses on, after the mask is on. And again, you know, this is about 40% penetrance. So, the N95 masks don't have any, but these do allow for sun. And it's mainly, you can kind of tell, it's gonna be, you know, the areas where there's free flow of air. Now again, these are good when it comes to, if I was wearing it and the person I was seeing was wearing it, you know, it's fairly good protection.
Right.
Even with COVID. But it's not 100%, that's why, I don't know if some of you saw the health department when they were in here, totally gowned up to the nines, but they were, you know, preparing as if they were, you know, going into an aerosolized room. They would have, you know, shields, and it gets, you know.
So
much
then,
more.
that would go into one of our questions, Dr. Shear. Yesterday, I saw you with an N95 and a surgical mask on, and you came over to IL, and I know that you're on the licensed side. Is that okay for you to be coming over?
So I have been trying to limit, and I think those of you that are my patients know that we've been doing a lot more telemedicine for anybody in IL, and part of the reason for that is we want to try and limit the amount of interactions, of crossover, so we're doing everything we can to kind of, you know, so for IL in general, if you don't need me to physically lay eyes on it, then I won't. The other thing that I do is, whenever I go into one side versus another, I do switch out the masks, and there's not enough masks available for everyone to be doing that, so, you know, it's only really, I feel like, for myself and Dr. Cook and Arden, the people that are going between, that, you know, have that capability, and I bring my own mask, so I switch out my mask so that I'm not taking, you know, one from one area and it's going to the next.
So that's why you wear 2 masks. You get rid of that surgical mask, but the N95 is
stays.
plastered
Mhm.
on your face.
Yeah.
And then I haven't been on the licensed side in I don't know how long, so I did not go, and that's what I think our plan is. It's very limited.
And I want to say we've worked really hard, and we've gotten better and better as the weeks have gone on with really, and I think anybody, you know, in assisted living, for example, the ones that are over there will even say, you know, limiting even hallways, not crossing over, really trying to keep people in sections, and the reason for that is, you know, A, it's good practice, but B, you know, if there ever is a positive, as we've seen, to be able to have a little bit of reassurance that that's, you know, hopefully gonna stay within, you know, within that room, number one, but if it's out, then it's probably limited to that side. So just anything that we can be doing to kind of limiting, you know, the ability, and trying to keep everything contained, we're trying to do. And that includes even myself. That's why I do telemedicine visits for those in independent living. So I am trying to stay off of the independent living side myself.
And then here's one that I think I read something about this. Why shouldn't women wear nail polish nowadays?
So it really has to do with one of the biggest signs of, and one of the first signs that somebody, you know, may need to be hospitalized or could potentially have severe illness is we're getting, you know, we put that little machine on your fingers to measure your oxygen level, and that could be, it's difficult when somebody has fake nails or nail polish to get an accurate reading. So we just want to, you know, we would want to have that information available, you know, when it's needed. And so we're kind of saying if you can do without, plus, you know, none of the salons are open anyway, so, you know, if you do have fingernail polish, it's probably a self-done job. So if you can do without it, you know, we're kind of encouraging you to kind of take this time to just go back to kind of the natural nail, so that if you were to need, you know, an oxygen level, you know, obtained, that it's readily available to do so, and you're not having to remove anything to get it there.
That's smart. Okay, here's one. After the COVID virus has been detected, why wouldn't you test residents in the area as well as team members for the virus?
So, I think we are testing anybody that's symptomatic. We have been. So if you're showing signs of that fever, cough, shortness of breath, we are asking the health department to check. But for those that don't have any symptoms, it's actually not recommended that you check them, because while you can be, it may create a false sense of security, because the results come back, a day or two later. Well, you were negative for the time that you were tested negative, but you could be positive 3 days later, and we don't want then people to feel laxed about, being, wearing all the proper equipment in order to, limit spread and making sure that we're all kind of taking extra precautions, and we're washing our hands, and we're disinfecting surfaces, and trying to limit touches, limit exposures. So although, if we got everyone tested and everyone was negative, there might be a false sense of security with that. And in 2 days, it could be invalid information at that point. So that's why it's not really recommended, especially with residents, to check. I think at this point, we just kind of operate under the assumption that there, could be positives. I think Cedarfield has done a really good job, and we've talked about, that there's exposures out in the community. There's exposures when you pick up your groceries, when you go out for your fast food, when you go out and see your kids. As much as you can limit, and you should be doing, and there's a risk. There's just a risk everywhere. So unfortunately, even as careful as we're being, I do think that we've done a good job. But as we can see, this virus doesn't, that is not selective, and where it goes, and it's a pesky bug to stay away from.
Here's one. Why isn't a positive resident required to go to the hospital?
So, I think we've kind of talked about in the past, now is a good opportunity to be having those conversations and really be thinking about what you would want done and not want done. Looking at that vial of life and making sure that, you have on there what you would want to happen to you. So if a resident and the family has had a conversation, usually ahead of time, that they would not want to go to the hospital and would want to stay in place and be comfortable, then I think it's our duty and our responsibility to honor that. And I think I'm very proud of having had quite a few of those conversations with my patients and with their families, and I think it speaks volumes that people are allowed to do that, and I think that we should continue to have that dignity. And as much as we can, I think that really kind of helps people get to have what they want. So, certainly I don't, if somebody wants to go to the hospital, if they're positive, we want to send them there as soon as possible. And I think that's, and you can even be a do not resuscitate and still go to the hospital. It's not a, you don't go if you're a DNR, you still go, if that's what you want. So it's a good idea. I mean, I think all of us should be, talking about, if we were, and I had a conversation today with, a resident and their family, and they're not even under suspicion, not even, it's just kind of an outlier, but, she was saying, that she would, knowing her dad, she would think that if he were to ever get it, he wouldn't want to go. And I said, well, we'll have that conversation if and when that ever happens, but, it's good to know. those conversations ahead of time, put less panic on you, less panic on your family, and you can actually come to a good decision that really kind of makes everyone feel better about the whole process. And it's not anything we want anyone to go through, and it's sad, but at least, you know, we're able to keep that dignity. And I think that that was, you know, for those that do stay, I think, you know, families and patients are happy that they do. And I think we should continue to do that.
Okay. Sounds good. Would I be able to see my loved one if they did go to the hospital?
So, I mean, I think the policies we have here are very similar to the policies that hospital have, which is, you know, just like we're not allowing, you know, family and spouses to see their spouse on healthcare, there's no visitors in the hospital as well. So even for people that, even for things that are unrelated to COVID, you know, just to kind of, again, minimize, you know, group exposure, the hospital's the same. So, you know, you can't, they're really saying no to all visitors, and the exception to that, just like the exception here, is when somebody is imminent, and by imminent, I mean usually 24 to 48 hours from death. At that point, you know, we do kind of take proper precautions, but allow people to see their loved one during that time. And the hospital, I believe, has that same policy. I'm not 100% sure what their policy is for, you know, COVID positive patients. That may be different. I know that when I asked kind of a similar question to the health department, they said from their standpoint, if somebody does go see a patient that is COVID positive, they then are required to do the 14 days of quarantine, regardless of how much PPE they put on. So they can put on the full face mask, guards, booties, everything, but they still require a 14-day quarantine afterwards. So, but that doesn't mean that the hospital policy is that everyone can be seen. So I don't know, so far as hospitals, but I know in general, they're saying no to visitors, just like we're saying no to visitors.
So to go back to this one, you know, 2 before about going to the hospital. If a resident were in IL and had symptoms were flu-like, and we didn't test them, but we would assume that they have the virus, and we would treat that in their apartment, is that right? Or would we get the test if they had this fever, shortness of breath, cough?
I mean, I think we would definitely want to get the test if they had fever, shortness of breath, and cough, especially all three. I do think that, you know, we've said all along that we're not gonna, that if somebody just has a cough, we're gonna monitor those symptoms for a while. Or if somebody just has a stuffy nose, or, you know, one low-grade temperature, you know, you can have allergies during this time of year as well.
Sure.
Flu is also positive this time of year, as well as RSV and some of those other viruses. So, you know, not every cough is COVID. You know, we definitely, you know, that's just like in the hospital when somebody has chest pain, not every chest pain is a heart attack, but we're gonna check for the heart attack first and then work our way down, because we wanna make sure the thing that we're most worried about is ruled out. So if it's looking suspicious, or if there's, you know, significant enough signs, I think we're gonna try and get the test. And you know, even hospice patients, we are getting the test for, because, you know, there's, you know, a public concern as well, you know, because you do operate differently with who comes in and out, you know, that kind of thing, even if the plan is to keep somebody comfortable.
Or we would try and treat here, but then if they got bad or wanted to go, send them out.
And at any time, you know, for the mild disease, we are treating here, so, and there has been that even in our older population, we are seeing even asymptomatic spread there. So there is, you know, a degree of which there may be a few residents here that do have mild symptoms, and and may or may not get tested, but we're tracking, we're asking them to stay in their rooms, we're doing the self-quarantine.
Okay, great, thanks. Here's one. Why are residents going back to IL from healthcare?
So, I think we saw a lot of this, Friday and Saturday were very busy days for us. So you know, healthcare is not a prison. And so, you know, we do have to allow families and allow patients, if they're safe, and I want to emphasize that, if they are safe to discharge, then they can, you know, they have the right to discharge. So it's okay for people to want to go back to their independent living apartments, and we need to make sure that we're doing that at their request. We are, you know, asking, and I don't know if some of you guys have seen the signs, but, you know, we are requiring that everybody that transfers from one level of care to a different one, that they, you know, again, isolate for that 14 days and quarantine for that 14 days. And same if they go home with their family members, the health department also has required that those people quarantine for 14 days, and those residents do that. So it's not that, you know, they get to go, you know, have a fun time, you know, throwing a party at their house, because that would not be a good idea. But you know, we do allow people, you know, they do have a right, if they're not imprisoned, and, you know, contrary to some beliefs, we do kind of allow you to, is there some technical difficulties? Okay.
But I think we can still record.
Oh, right.
Power blinked out, so it was,
You can still record?
but we're recording here.
So
We're
keep
recording
going?
here.
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna keep going.
All right, here's another one. My family wants me to go live with them. Should I?
So, so that's been, you know, an interesting question. We've been getting a lot of that. And again, I just want to emphasize the safety of all of this, because, you know, what we see is that you can, you know, decisions that are made in fear are not always smart decisions. There was a reason why somebody, you know, required increased care, and we want to make sure that that need is met with your, you know, family. So if they're able to meet that need, then we'll work on it, and I think we can talk about it and come to a decision. But, you know, we're also saying that if you're gonna leave Cedarfield, then we, you know, this can't be a revolving door. You can't have exposures from outside and then expect to come back, you know, over to healthcare or over to, you know, the building and then spread those exposures. So, you know, I caution everyone to think before you act, and take a moment to evaluate whether or not that's a smart decision. Because you know, if somebody came up to healthcare because they're falling all the time, or because, you know, they can't be taken care of in independent living, or they need more assistance, I wouldn't encourage somebody to go back to an apartment by themselves where they couldn't manage a month ago to do the same thing, because that's just going to create, you know, that's another hospitalization, that's, you know, a decline in function, that creates a lot more problems than it does to continue to just stay where you're at. So I would kind of encourage you to, you know, breathe and to realize that Cedarfield is doing everything possible to keep you safe, to keep your family members safe, to keep your loved ones safe. You know, nothing is perfect, and you know, we're not pretending that we are, and that's what this communication is all about. But also, there's dangers outside of Cedarfield just as much. So I know that, you know, there was a big sense of anxiety and I think Dr. I'm sorry if I'm butchering that, had spoken out and said, you know, if you can take care of your family member, take them home.
Right.
But the reality of that is, you know, what we don't want to see is they can do fine for a day or two, but after that, you know, you can't handle your parents, or they're driving you crazy and you want to throw them in the towel, you can't. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
you gotta be
You gotta be
prepared.
all in.
This is a marathon, not a sprint, and make sure that you're trained up for the marathon,
Right.
and you don't think this is gonna be a sprint.
Right. And then I guess the next part of that would be talking to you or a social worker, the team, just coming up with a plan. If
Right.
they feel strongly about that.
And I think we worked really hard this weekend and in the last couple of days for those that did go outside to make sure that, you know, home health was set up, that follow-up appointments were made, so that anything that falls through the crack can be picked up. But it's not perfect, and you know, I think there's a pit in all of our stomach when there's, you know, a mass desire to take people out, to know that they've got everything that they need, because the reality is it's not easy, and it's really hard on a Saturday and on a Friday to try and come up with a plan just to get people home.
Right.
But we tried to put things in place for those that did go, and then anybody that is discharging, you know, in the next couple of days, or, you know, we work on those as well. I don't think it'll be on too many, but all that to say, you know, I think in general, I would really take a long, hard look as to whether or not you'll be safe to leave
Right.
before you decide to leave.
Okay, that's it. Alrighty.
Thank you, Ann. Thank you, Dr. Shearer. Appreciate you being here. Couple other just tidbits of information. Our Chief Executive Officer has authored a new memo, and that memo should be out to everyone about 3:30. So everyone should have that memo. Either you're in a cottage or an apartment or in assisted living and the health center. Those memos are posted. The memo has a lot of information that was in the March 27th memo that was last posted. A couple of new items are bolded within the memo content itself. Dining services, each community has implemented a meal delivery service program, and this bullet point is meant for all 5 campuses around the Commonwealth that have limited menus. So there's a couple of campuses that are even on a more scaled menu than Cedarfield, but there are those campuses that have a limited menu choice, further restricted than Cedarfield. Secondly, talking about physicians offering telehealth visits and the assistance to make that possible. Talking about practicing physical distancing when not at work. This obviously is for the team members, and using proper precautions while interacting with residents, co-workers, and folks outside of Cedarfield. And talks a little bit more about all routine medical services out of our services clinic are now being downsized to just critically essential visits within that clinic. So again, if anybody has any questions about the memo, feel free to call down to the administration suite, and I will try my best to answer your questions in an orderly fashion over the next couple of hours. For the families that are listening to this videotape tonight, this little segment is for you. The supply shuttling program that we have available Monday, Wednesday, Friday, tomorrow. That program is meant for the residents that live in the cottages. So if you have a loved one living in the cottages, from 1 o'clock to 3 o'clock in the afternoon, there'll be a shuttle over at the parking ride off of Gaskins and Maynard, so that you can get a package to someone in the cottages. Anybody has any questions, certainly feel free to text now. Otherwise, I don't think we had any other administrative updates? No? Anybody has any questions, please text in. Not seeing any texts, I'm going to turn the microphone over to Trish Carter for some words of spiritual well-being.
Good afternoon, Cedarfield. I just want to say how amazed I am in the conversations that I'm having with many residents. This is such a surreal and unusual time, and perhaps that's a staggering understatement, but I find so much encouragement and inspiration in my conversations with each of you, showing me to get up each morning, put one foot in front of the other, and keep breathing. Would you join me in prayer? God of sunshine, wind, and rain, we pray for your mercy as we find ourselves in a world we barely recognize. We pray for deep breaths, for strength to meet each day exactly as it comes. We pray for your guidance and for your continued presence. May we drink from your well and long to return. May we share kindness with others and practice patience with ourselves. Allow us to be surprised by your grace again and again and again.